Hello and welcome, Twin Flame, Monadic Twin Flames Speak. Okay, so my name is Susan Hayes, and this is my twin sister,
Ann Hayes, aka Mama G.
so we both happen to be not only fraternal twins, we are both on the twin flame journey. We have both respectively met our twin flame. And for that reason, our intention today is to share briefly our stories, the insight, the experience, the observations that we have made within the twin flame collective and within our own along our own journeys in order to help well, anyways, go ahead, you take it from there.
Yeah, and so we have a number of themes that we'd like to cover today that we feel are critically relevant, especially with what's been going on within the Twin Flame Connected Collective at this point on the planet. So we are going to begin by sharing briefly our respective Twin Flame stories, and we'll get to why we feel that's important later on in the video. We are also going to share
Some of the pains that seems to be across the board, the struggles, the pain, the loneliness that can ensue, whether you are in union or not. Because, anyways, we'll get into that.
We're going to also speak to the judgment, the shame, and spiritual superiority that exist within the Twin Flame Collective, as well as
What this relationship or this connection is really about. It's energetic and why that is a key difference from other types of partnerships.
from there, we are going to speak about intimacy and sexuality as a very important aspect of the Twin Flame journey. And then
As well as the uniqueness of the journey, even with us too. And that's why we think it's so important for us to each share our stories. The uniqueness that there isn't one formula that you can fit into with the twin flame journey. And we will also share the sources of people's information who are sharing within the twin flame community that may be divine downloads and or also a lot of reliance we're seeing on AI. And that's, yeah, we'll speak to that, the sources of information.
okay, so let's dive right in. We are so blessed to be able to be here and do this together. We're both transmitting from Montpellier, Celle, France, in Europe at this time. And so let's begin with a brief background. We're going to share our respective stories. I'll begin. And before I share, I just want to share, we discuss this, and what we've noticed is that there are other, like even twin flame coaches out there, and ones we've worked with, ones we've observed, and just conversations where there's really not a lot of vulnerability out there. There's really not even, okay, very clearly saying, like, I'm in the divine feminine role. I am in the divine masculine role. Not that we're saying labels are important. And yet, in order to truly be able to navigate this journey in the way that we believe, you really have to have something to laser focus yourself into. So I'm a divine feminine. My sister is a divine feminine. In other words, we are the lead in this connection. And so I'm going to begin with that. And because I also wanted to share is we're just doing a free flow today, so stay with us. I would like to share that for me personally, and I think I can speak to for my sister as well, is that when others don't really come right out and share enough of their story, like you have to go digging or it's very vague, it can be very challenging. And this journey is challenging enough. And when we share without oversharing, it's really, really valuable, very valuable. So that's part of why we're choosing to share. So we both have been on this journey for about 4 years now, at least officially. We each started our spiritual awakening like decades ago. So we are not new to spiritual awakening. For me personally, I met my quote unquote catalytic connection. I'll call it twin flame just for the sake of helping others to understand that this is the twin flame journey. This person activated me and set me on the twin flame journey. And I am a lesbian. I'm 62 years old. I think that's important to mention because I've experienced all kinds of relationships and a number of life experiences that brought me to where I am now. My divine counterpart is 20 years younger. There is a 20-year age gap. We are different races, different heights, you name it. We're just very, very different in many different ways. She is a sex worker, and I'm not saying that to out her. I'm certainly not saying that to shame her in any way. I'm just simply sharing the information. Okay. So it's up to you how you take that information. If there's judgment there, that is something for you to resolve and to reconcile with, because I know it certainly was something that I had to. So me personally, when I had met her, I did have a business. I was focusing, I had just let go of an online academy and I was focusing on my music at the time. And I'm just going to share that because of this connection, which has been primarily energetic in nature, as far as the push and pull energy, has caused helped supported me in evolving in a way that I never thought possible, like without question. So I have a tremendous amount of gratitude and appreciation for the role that this connection has had in my life at this point and still has. And I think it's important to mention that we did have a very, like a couple of hours where we met, very intense. And there was some, a little bit of back and forth, not too much, where we both recognized the connection. And yet, for the most part, I would say since after about 3 months in, the majority of the 4 years, it has been no communication. In fact, I have been blocked for about more than 3 years of that time. And our our in and out has been energetic. It has been telepathic in nature. There's a lot of information that she has shared. I'm sure there's information that I've shared, and I've received a lot of divine downloads and really truly been being able to see the mirroring that has been happening. And the energy has always been sexual. And so that you don't have to come in and actually have sex or come in and out physically in order to be activated to the next level of your evolutionary growth, your spiritual growth. So I want to mention that because that's how it's been for me. That doesn't mean that's the way it's meant to be. That's how it's been for me. And I'm also here, I know, to serve myself and the planet. It's been a divine self-love journey. And there's a lot, it's sacred sexuality. It's helping to dismantle the sexual misery programs on the planet. So my connection is helping me to step in fully into that role with complete confidence and full faith and trust, knowing that I'm safe to do so. So that's my twin flame connection.
Okay, so there's a lot that I would, in terms of my twin flame connection, there's a lot of similarities. In number one, that I'm absolutely grateful for this connection. This connection has just super accelerated my evolutionary growth, has really helped me to dissipate that limiting conditioning and programming from lifetimes and lineages, ancestral lineages, as well as to bring back parts of myself into wholeness. Now, in terms of my particular connection, it doesn't seem as as polarized as my sister's. So again, there's very unique journeys, and I've seen a lot of challenging but deeper layers and roots of her particular journey that she's had to let go of that has allowed me to grow. So it's not even just the twin flame of the person that has really activated the next level of super accelerated the next level of my ascension. It's also through my sister's journey. I've learned so much with her and her twin flame. My particular twin flame is we speak different languages, we're different culture, and he actually is married at this time. He seems to be happily married, and so he's just not available. And he was actually engaged to be married when we met. I didn't know that. He didn't mention her. We did have some interactions. He did acknowledge that there was a really incredibly strong and powerful connection with us, yet not beyond that, nothing romantic. And I know for me, it brought up a lot of those abandonment, like not being chosen and so on. So a lot that I needed to work through in grief with my late husband who had passed. And it was tough. he's married. We haven't had contact since, I want to say it's about 3 years now, when I found out he wasn't married. I mean, there was, again, it was not, it was, we were just kind of sharing some audios and all that. We've had maybe one conversation off and on for I'm jumping around just a little bit, not wanting to give too much information. So within the first year, we had contact off and on, very sporadically. And then once I realized he was married, that was it. Um, and it was painful for me at first. It was really painful. So there's a lot of reasons why it unfolds the way it does. It's my own unique journey, just as well as my sister has hers. And yeah, so we haven't spoken. And there's that, we'll get into the shame.
Okay, okay. So especially, and whether you've been in no contact for prolonged periods of time, separation for prolonged periods of time, whether you've been in and out or fallen out of union after years, stay tuned. This is for you. Okay, so those are our stories. Again, any questions as we go, comments, drop that in the comment section, and we would love to be able to share more if we feel it would be beneficial to the collective. So let's see, those are our stories. So, Sue, you were going to speak to the pain, the struggle, the loneliness that is experienced on this journey, both in and out of union.
Well, yeah, well, that's what my sister and I were finding. This is where we're fortunate to have one another on this journey to share information. We have a lot of people and we have clients who reach out and or clients who are sharing their stories, those in or out of union who are struggling and are actually they're in union and they haven't had sex yet, 7 years, 10 years into being in physical union. So there still isn't that level of blissful, harmonious union, which is what is often shared in the twin flame. It's romanticized. And a lot of twin flames like scratching their head, like, what happened? We came into physical union, like, that is the ultimate prize. And that is part of where, well, I guess the uniqueness of the journey is that it just unfolds differently and we can evolve within partnership with others, twin flames or otherwise, or in solo. It's a solo journey. So the ultimate prize is not to be in physical union per se. And I guess we can speak more to that. And so there can be shame and judgment, like, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong that I'm not in physical union yet with my twin flame? Like, I haven't heard from them in years, or I was, and now it's not quite the way I thought it would be unfolding, and or they've left me, or we've decided to just we've left the union. Like after 10 years, we've given up. It's just it's too much. We're not able to do it. So there's this level of like, what did I do wrong? And the superiority again, that if you are in union, again, that you've got the prize, it's not hierarchical. There's just so many ways it unfolds. And what if even that leaving is helping for your growth? Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
so ultimately, like just to expound upon what my sister just shared is that yes, it's a given. This is about spiritual ascension. It's about literally coming back into union with the divine, God, goddess, what have you. And there is pain, there is struggle, there is suffering, there is going to be a level of loneliness depending on how you have been encoded. And I don't want to speak too much more about that because we're going to speak about that later when we talk about the uniqueness of each journey. Yet I think it's really important. We just said it right here. We have come upon others through conversations, our clients who have been in physical union for years. They're in these celebrate marriages. They're not happy. They're expressing their wounding. They're not healing. We're seeing codependency. We're seeing trauma bonding. We're seeing connections that are being treated like relationships. And I'm not here to shame. We're not here to shame. Yet because we have a different level of awareness, because we've been in a number of different relationships and connections, I feel like we have the experience and that expanded awareness to say, hey, this is what's going on. And we've got to be able to be, first of all, have that awareness for each other and to speak to it and support each other around that. So that's why we're mentioning that. So if you've been in union and you're struggling, and you're pretending like it's okay. Even you're a twin flame, you've identified as a twin flame coach and you're struggling, you don't truly share that struggle. It's okay. We're not here to shame you. If you've been in union for years and you've coming out of union after years, we're not here to shame you. That's part of the journey, and there's no shame in it. And so I think it's important that we had to speak to that. And then I know my sister started to just mention shame. This is a shame-based reality, I believe, essentially. And there's already a lot of shame, I believe, on the twin flame journey because of the trauma that twin flames have experienced by choice as divinely encoded and blueprinted, I believe. And so that already exists. And especially around sexuality. If you're here, you've likely experienced sexual trauma, sexual assault, sexual abuse, some type of distortion of your sexual energy. And there's always a devastating fallout of shame connected to that, whether you are consciously aware of that or not. So there's the shame perhaps of, oh my gosh, I'm a twin flame. What does that mean? Because the rest of the world is saying, no, that's crazy. It's just a trauma bond, yet you know better. There's even others out there who question whether you're a twin flame or not. Don't let others question that for you. You know, you know. Like if I were to follow the teachings of the majority of twin flame information that's out there, I would look at my connection and say, oh, this is a false twin flame. I know better than that. I know better than that. That is my inner authority, and that's what evolution does. And I know my twin sister feels the same way. And there's a lot of judgment. I go into these groups, and people are seeking support. They're suffering, and they're judged, and they're shamed. And it's like, oh no, you just have to go back, and you have to do this. Oh no, it's just another trauma bond. And honestly, who the administrators have the responsibility to mitigate that and to monitor. That's your role. If you have a twin flame group and if that's your responsibility, and no matter how many members you have, I believe that's important. We need to protect the twin flame collective. And then there's the spiritual superiority, like my sister mentioned. And I felt this way too, and I shamed myself, like my sister said, oh, why am I not in union yet? And I would hear like these twin flame like leaders on YouTube, at least I thought they were the authority, and they would say, okay, if you're not in physical union just yet, you still have more work to do, which very well could be true, because if I look at my situation, there are extreme polarities, yet there's always more. And that's just part of the journey of life and the twin flame journey. It does not stop. That's just a reality. And it depends on how you've been encoded. So I think we need to just take that off the table. They're a twin flame, and rightfully so. I might feel the same way too if it were me. Just because you're in physical reunion does not mean that you have all the answers and you know how this twin flame journey is meant to unfold. That's the
Illusion.
biggest illusion. And if you fall into that trap, like I did at one point, you can shame yourself, and it can just, and that's an experience too. So did you want to add more to that, Sue?
I was just going to say that more, maybe even to just emphasize what you've already said it's a big thing. I have found that those who are in union, and particularly twin flame coaches, do feel that it's their journey. It's the way their journey is unfolding. They have chosen or have encoded in their divine blueprint to heal in union, physical union, and others haven't. And I sense that from some of the twin flame coaches, not all of them that I have witnessed on YouTube and so on, that they feel like they do have all the answers because they are in union, when my sister and I were like, yeah, but they're struggling with this, and this. They haven't shared this part of their story. They're not being truly vulnerable. They've assumed that this is how it's meant to unfold for everybody. And again, it's not. It's not. It's all unique, because the end game, which isn't an end game, is to ascend back into the remembrance of who we truly are. And that can happen in physical union with a twin flame or otherwise, or on a solo journey. It's just different for everybody. I've jumped into the uniqueness, but that's okay.
It's all good. It's all good because it all needs to be shared. And even if there's a reminder and a repetition, it's important. We know it's important for you to hear this because this is what we needed to hear. We had to discern this for ourselves through our conversations with each other. Thankfully, we have each other on this journey and through divine guidance and true inner authority. Because that's really what it comes to, and that's through our evolution, and that's thankfully to our connections. Now, I would just like to ask you, Sue, like when you realized that your twin flame was getting married, what was kind of some of the guidance that you were given?
Ah, that I obviously needed so much more healing to do, that there was that he wasn't, real. Some people doubted the twin flame. I started to doubt it. I started to think that there were a lot of different, what I would consider judging commentary or shame again, that I had way more work to do. If he's not available, where am I not available? Like, I don't, yeah, there was just, I didn't feel supported along that journey. I did with my sister, I have to say, thank goodness. And that's probably what helped me to get through. So I'm just going to interject. You want to make sure you have your key person, you have a twin flame community where it is supportive, it is loving, and it's not judging. If people are saying you need to do this, and they're assuming that what you're going through in your connection, they're imposing their own opinion on it and their own perception. Be aware of that, because no one really knows except you. And even my sister and I were like, we don't really truly know. We don't have all the answers until we're ready to transition from this reality. Yet, because of our expansiveness and our own journey and the work that we've done, we're sharing our insight, and take what resonates. And if it doesn't resonate, that's okay too. Do your due diligence. I think we stress that quite a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if this is fair to say, Sue, from what you've shared with me, is that in some instances, like you got the message like, no, this is your twin flame. That woman needs to step aside. She's on your throne. And I don't know if you want to
Let
speak
me
to that.
speak to that. That's really important. I've spoken to one of this in my videos. We talk about the karmics and the third party. What if I'm the third party? What if you're the third party? Like, this is where the labels can really trip us up and think that, no, he's mine. I need to go. I was told by one coach to go after him because he's my twin flame. And pay attention to how you feel in your body and the energy, because my body was like, oh no, he's gotten married. That's what he chose, and I want to honor that. I didn't get to go after him. And yet I was being told that that's what I needed to do. I needed to claim him because I'm his queen. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. And I will share this. What I did get later on, even though I knew that no, this is whom he's supposed to be with right now, to allow for his evolutionary growth. And what I intuited is that because of my connection, because of me, what I had done to help activate him as well, is that it was going to be an even more loving connection with this person. We can label it however we want, yet he's meant to be with her. He chose to be with her. And it allowed me to grow exponentially in a way that perhaps I wouldn't have if we came together right away. I got that it wouldn't have lasted, it wouldn't have worked. I was so much like, no, we need to be together and all that. But fortunately, through that, it helped me to step back and then look at what was going on within me. Um, and I had my sister to help provide some really expansive guidance and support, and not judgment. And that is huge. You got to have your person.
Yeah.
And I'm fortunate that I have that twin who's a twin flame, also on the twin flame journey.
Yeah, I think having someone who gets the journey, who can just listen, isn't trying to tell you what to do, because you just get how uniquely, insanely unique it is so critically important. We're not always in physical proximity. We're not always physically together like we are this week, and yet we do connect every single day for the most part, so that we can support each other on this journey. And I know for me personally, yeah, I reached out to psychics. Okay. I had this high level psychic, and he was essentially saying, go get her, go like message her. And I am telling you, did I? like after I was blocked, like that was my wounded feminine. Like, and I was like, I wish I had not I saw this person as the authority, and this person was
Mm.
not the authority. Yet what this person did is they triggered more of my wounding so I could
Mm.
step back and say, what the are you doing? What? You're just sneaking your way in. You're being manipulative. No, no to the no, to the no, to the no. So, and then I realized, I said to myself, oh my goodness, and I don't really know for sure, but it appeared as though, because like I mentioned, my connection is a sex worker, works in the sex industry, a professional dominatrix, from what I could gather and what I've been shown. I mean, I did see it initially, but for now it's mostly divine downloads. That's how it works now. And at one time, it appeared as though she was in a polyamorous connection potentially. I don't know for sure. And that she had submissives. So I was like, who am I to step in and disrupt that experience for her?
Mm.
Like, for real. Because that was selfish. That was about me and my wounding. So that's what I've learned, some of what I've learned on this journey. And if this is you, if there appears to be a comic or karmics, and like I said, a comic could be an addiction, usually a reflection of your own addiction, by the way. So allow that to be what it is, allow that to do what it is. And just because you recognize that this is your twin flame connection, keep it energetic. I would highly recommend keep it energetic, let it do what it's going to do in the way that it's meant to do.
And I'll speak further to that with what again, people think, oh, it's my twin flame. Yeah, they're married, they're with somebody, and yet they're still getting together, or there's an emotional bond, and sometimes even a sexual one with someone who is still married. And I don't want, there's a lot of nuances even with that. Yet just be cautious with that, because if they're not truly available, then there is maybe, is that what you want? Are you wanting that, or do you want more? Do you want to settle? Would it be settling? And there are those where they're married, but the marriage has fallen apart, they're separated, and I'm not speaking to that. And again, there's no judgment. I don't want any judgment to, I don't want it to sound like I'm being judgment. It's just matter of like, what do you truly, truly want? If this is your person, yet they're not truly available for you, do you want to settle for that? And I will speak to my own journey again, what came to me recently in terms of my twin flame. There was another lifetime that was wanting to be let go of. So I come back into wholeness, where he was married to this same person. He was a king of Lemuria. He was married to the same person who was the queen, and I was the mistress in that lifetime. And so it was an opportunity to let go of that pattern. I don't want to be a mistress in this lifetime. That's not what I want. And so it was making a conscious choice to not get involved with that and allow those two to have their time together. Does it mean that there's somewhere down the line we may come together? Maybe, maybe not. It's letting go of that expectation, surrendering to my divine blueprint, and really continuing to focus on my journey back to that unity and oneness, and being grateful for his play in that, his part in that, as well as his wife, as well as his wife.
Absolutely. Focus on the energetic connection. In fact, that segues nicely. So, let's begin to talk about that energetic connection.
It's all about the energy. Yes. And so the energy is that we speak to, and you've probably heard of a lot of the predominantly masculine and feminine. It's just two different ways to describe the different qualities and essences of energy within us. That is really a nice dynamic dance. And in the twin flame journey, there is often one counterpart who represents predominantly the masculine energy. Let's make it clear, everybody has both energies within them. Yet the one twin flame often has a predominant masculine energy, and another twin flame has a predominant feminine essence and energy. And that can change during the dynamic. There may be times in your along your journey where you have more feminine energy, or you maybe have more masculine energy. So I'm referring more to predominantly just like I'm, anyways, yeah, that's the predominant energy. And with that, you're going to have some push and pull if there's perhaps an imbalance with a particular energy within you. So if you have an imbalance of, let me speak to the wounded feminine who has often been disempowered because of sexual trauma. I'm going to speak specifically to that because that seems to be the situation with a lot of divine feminines, a lot of those whom my sister and I work with, or people who share their information, their stories with us, that there is that level of disempowerment where you don't feel like you're good enough, or you're not loved, you're not chosen because your divine masculine is not with you, is not available, is running away, is ignoring you, or so it seems. And there's that, again, sense of disempowerment. There's the feminine aspect, is what I like to call weak. I think of the infinity, where the infinity is kind of deflated. That part of it's like a balloon, it's inflated. It is not, it's got, or I should say the masculine aspect is weak. And this may be an overinflation of the woman aspect, with nurturing, over giving, over pleasing, and not setting clear boundaries, or not putting up putting up with something that would be settling, like, okay, that's okay, you know what, long as they love me a little bit, they may be with somebody and all that, but I don't, yeah, anyways, we're
Yeah,
going on and on. Go
I
ahead.
think for me, the idea that it is an energetic connection and that it is all about energy is the key piece here. So you don't have to come in and out of physical reunion. You don't have to be in physical reunion. My sister already alluded to that, in order to benefit from this connection. And that's the biggest illusion and the biggest, I think, whether it's intentional or not, deception within the twin flame community, the collective, as far as it has to be physical in nature. It doesn't. There are different levels of consciousness, even around sexuality. So sexual energy is transformative energy. It is fire energy. There is a reason that there is the intensity in this connection. There is a reason that there is a Kundalini activation and an awakening, is because sexual energy is a critical key piece to it. Yet, exchanging sexual energy, which is exchanging information, which is activating each other, your next level of evolution, does not have to happen in physical intimacy, physical sex. It can happen telepathically, as I can attest to. It can happen energetically. So that's what I feel is really important to share, because that is not shared. I look at the level of growth that I've experienced in just 4 years after my spiritual awakening, decades in. I look at those who've been in union for 10 years and I'm like, this doesn't compute. Why is it that I've experienced more evolutionary growth? And why is this person showing up in the biggest pain after 7, 10 years in union? That's when I started to question and started to reflect some more and ask for true divine authority and inner authority, and conversations with my sister and the way others, including clients, were showing up in her experience. So we're sharing that because, like I said, it's another big fat illusion. It's a big fat illusion. Okay, so it's energetic in nature, it's telepathic, it's sexual. It may not be telepathic, it may be unconsciously happening, but it's always happening, especially if you're growing. Okay, where then, did you want to add anything more before we move on to intimacy and sexuality?
No, I feel like you've covered it.
Yeah, I feel like intimacy and sexuality, we're wrapping it up here. Okay. We're wrapping it up here. Thank you for staying with us, because I think this is really, really important. Is intimacy and sexuality is a critical aspect of this journey, because we are literally here, I believe, as a twin flame collective, is to, number one, to anchor in, to recode, or to anchor in the original relationship templates, as well as to dismantle the sexual misery programs and to bring back the sacredness of sexual energy as it relates to creation and manifestation and power. There is power in creation and expansion and the ability to manifest with ease. In other words, bringing and embodying heaven on earth. That is a big aspect of the twin flame journey. So intimacy is key. Emotional intimacy, true intimacy, sacred sexuality, understanding how sexual energy functions, how you can connect and relate to another. You can be intimate, we can be intimate here. You can be intimate with brothers and sisters. You can be intimate with life, with different kinds of experiences, and of course with your connection. And intimacy can happen whether you're in physical reunion or not. Many of you might have experienced telepathic sex. I know I have. And it was profound. And yet there were times where, like, no, I'm shutting this down. And there were other times when I was divinely guided. No, you're going to do this because you're going to make a spirit baby. And that spirit baby was a song about the third energy. Okay, so that it's so, so important. In fact, my sister and I work a lot around sacred sexuality, around empowering others to heal, to alchemize, to sublimate, transmute their wounded sexual, their distorted sexual energy and the distorted expression or not of that energy. And we have a lot of very unique tools and techniques and insight, divine wisdom that allow us to do that. Whether you're in union or not, in and out of union or not, that's what we offer to the collective.
Amen. Amen. I wanted to share something. I lost my train of thought. Let me just think for a minute. Oh, in terms of the telepathic communication, and this is where it's so important to keep doing your inner work and really pay attention to your inner authority. And I still will listen to a psychic or not, every now and then, but not like I used to. You'll find that as you continue to do the inner work, raise your vibration, your frequency, your core frequency, that you do not, you trust. You trust your inner authority more. You have better discernment because you're a clearer channel. You've let go of so many distortions that were distorting your truth. You have a clearer channel for your inner guidance and better discernment as a result. And with that, you will know when perhaps it is time to have that telepathic sex communication and so on, or not. When would it be healthier to put up a boundary? And when would it be like, no, this is, as my sister said, it's about creation in so many forms. She created a song. That was the creation. Sexual energy is all about creation, not just creating actual babies. It's projects, it's ventures, it's love, it's so many things. I mean, we are here on this planet because of sexuality. We've created because of sexuality, sacred sexuality. That's why we're all here on this planet in this reality. And so with my particular counterpart, I haven't engaged in telepathic sex. I don't know in how long, and I haven't been guided to do so. This is where the uniqueness of your journey, this is where we're going next. We're going to segue in. Every journey is unique, and no one else can tell you, you got to go claim them. You got to have telepathic communication with them. Otherwise, or don't have it, because if you're having telepathic communication, that means you're not anchoring it in the 3D, like it's going to remain in the 5D. Be very careful with that. It's really important to trust. Keep doing the work to clear away the distortions, to trust your inner authority. We cannot say that enough. To trust your inner authority, to know when would it be healthier for me to maximize this connection and to have that telepathic, sacred connection, sexuality, communication, or not. Only you truly know. Only you truly know. It's not as simple. Do it, don't do it. Yes, no, it's not that easy. We all have unique journeys. There's also not a particular formula. There isn't like, this is what a twin flame is, and this is exactly what the journey looks like, and this is how you need to go about with this journey. And then we've just spoken to that on so many levels, and in particularly with this telepathic communication or not. Labels. We live in a 3D reality. So labels, yes, are important, especially the twin flame, because it helps us to understand like what is this and to find the information we're looking for. And at the same time, to make sure that we're not, as my sister had mentioned, not attached to the label, that it means not have so much definition that we don't have room for more expansiveness and what that truly means for each unique journey. And even monadic twins. Monadic twins for us, we all come from a monad, from one God source, organic source, yet that's how we distinguish our journey from other journeys where people are in union, physical union, and that's how they chose to heal. And we are more on a solo journey at this point. And it's just different in monadic in the sense that extreme challenges. I think we all have challenges that we're meant to do more planetary grid work. There's just different distinctions, key distinctions within that particular, I'll say, label. And do I know for sure? Do I have all the answers even within that? No, I don't. I'm learning more and more and coming into more expansive awareness the more I continue to let go of my own distortions. Thankfully for this connection I have, as well as my sisters, and also with other twin flames and people in general. Oh, and the sources. This is important too. I have found, and my sister, I believe also, we've been talking, I have found that there are twin flame coaches out there. Not all of them, there's some amazing ones. There are those out there who are twin flame coaches, or they call themselves twin flame coaches, mentors, who source their information from AI. A lot of their information is coming from AI, and I learned that the hard way. I was like, wait a minute. I was there were these red flags, things just didn't weren't adding up, and I'm like, I don't know. They weren't sharing enough of their own story. That's usually a key. Like you don't hear about their story at all. Yet they seem to have it all. Or they'll say, they say, they say, they say. I'll hear that a lot. Like, well, who's they? And then I started going to ChatGPT to plug in some information about twin flames. And a lot of what I was getting spitting back out at me was what these twin flame coaches were sharing. And some of it was not as expansive or as loving as I felt it is what the twin flame is all about. It's unconditional love. And so to be very careful with that, to use discernment, even with us, we don't have all the answers. Yet we are our source. And I'm not saying I'm not against AI. I'm not against artificial intelligence. That's why we're on Zoom. This is why we're able to interface with you. It's a tool. And it's a tool that we want to be able to use with discernment and that we can use with better discernment again when we've cleared away enough distortions as I become tongue-tied. And to trust that divine downloads, to really make sure that you're spending enough time with you in nature. When you're really not sure and don't have that clarity, to really go within, to take that time for you and not to seek it externally.
Yeah, yeah, 100% inner 30 is where it's at. As far as speaking for myself, why I now use monadic twin as a label is because of the expanded awareness I now have on this journey and where I am is that I mean, I did talk about the different levels of conscious around sexuality and intimacy. I'm not going to speak to that today. Yet that's part of the journey. Some of us chose to come to different levels. Some of us chose to have a connection, whether it's physical or, it's all energetic, like we've already mentioned. And for me, and it's just a different journey. And I know my sister's done a video on monadic twin flames. I did one. It's no longer there, but I'll probably do another one at some point. And it's just a different level of surrender. It's different encoding essentially. And if we can be here and we can experience the level of awareness and peace and discernment and inner authority related to like just stepping back and observing what's going on in the twin flame collective, doing this for the most part on a solo ourselves while still having that energetic connection, then that speaks to something because it is a deeper level of surrender that is required. It's a deep, and we honor you. If this is you, we honor you.
It requires a deeper level of trust because if you're not in communication and you're not in contact with the one who's super catalyzed you, then it does require a deeper level of trust. I also feel that it often requires more uncertainty as you continue to raise your level of consciousness and let go of more egoic attachment, because we need our ego, but if egoic attachment and limiting conditioning and behaviors and belief systems, that you are going to be invited to live with greater uncertainty. And that's been particularly with moving around, like where I don't know where I'm going to be in 3 weeks. I've got the next 3 covered of where I'm going to be. And after that, I'm not really clear. And it's trusting that when the time is right, I will be made aware of that. And it's obviously not ripe yet because I don't know. And it's that there's a certain level of trust. And it can be challenging unless you surrender to that and just trust. That's where the trust is a huge piece and comes in. And yeah.
Yeah. And I believe the conscious choice is whether you surrender to that divine guidance and follow through on it. And that's the tricky aspect because many will say, well, don't just go where you want to go. Yet when you truly surrender on a twin flame path, you know that there is a divine power or source that knows, in order to keep you on your highest timeline, that knows exactly where you need to be, when you need to be, and who you need to be with. And that, in fact, we both woke up today. We took a short power nap with the same guidance to do this video together. That's how it can unfold. So that, and then that's where the conscious choice comes in. And that can take courage. Going to a new country without knowing anybody.
Yeah. And yeah, it does. And choice is a big piece. Yes, we have choice. Yes, we have free will. And as my sister said, and at the same time, what have we encoded for our highest and best, our highest timeline, so to speak, within our divine blueprint? What is ultimately going to bring us back to that remembrance of that oneness? And yeah, your logical brain would be like, yeah, but I don't want to go there. No, 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 no. And yet, in your heart, well, you just know that this is where I need to go next. And again, that's where the trust comes in.
Yeah, and it's not because the twin flames are anywhere around. Not that I would personally know where mine is right now, because I don't need to know, because energetically they're right there.
Exactly. Exactly. And sometimes you might be guided to go to a place because your twin flame is there. Is it coming from ego, wounded ego, or is it coming from that greater expansive, just intuitive knowing that, no, this is where I'm supposed to be at this point, whether it's to physically connect again or just to energetically be in a similar space or not? It's really following your own inner guidance, irrespective of what your twin flame is doing.
That's the key. It's an energetic connection. Okay, so monadic twin flames, twins, speak.
Love you.
Love you all so much. We got you. We're here with you. We're in this with you. You're not alone. And if there's any aspect of this resonated with you, if there was different information, if it was like, oh, wow, I feel validated, because that's key too. It's good to go. Drop a comment, keep it kind, like, share, subscribe. We're both going to be posting this to our individual YouTube channels. And so stay tuned for more content because this is just the beginning. We love you so much.
That's right. Mwah.
Stay with it.
Stay the
Okay.
course. You've got
Here we
this.
go from France.